learning about how to create a strong password. But before we begin, let us revise what we have covered till now. So, in the first module, we have covered what is cybersecurity. Basically, cybersecurity refers to the practice of protecting systems, networks, and programs from digital attacks. So, that is what is cybersecurity. Now, what is the main purpose of cybersecurity? To defend against unauthorized access, theft, and damage to hardware, software, or data. Why does it matter? Why does cybersecurity matter? So cybersecurity matters because cybersecurity is basically data protection, personal data and national security, safeguarding our online identities and preventing cyberbullying and fraud. After that, we learned about core pillars of cybersecurity, which are confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality is keeping the data private. Integrity is ensuring that the data is not altered. Availability is system must be accessible. Now, there are some malwares that we also learned about. So, there are six types of malwares that we learned about: virus, worms, Trojan horse, spyware, ransomware, and adwares. Now, what are viruses? Viruses attach themselves to the programs and files. Worms are self-replicating programs that replicate themselves multiple times. Trojan horses, they disguise themselves as the legitimate software. Now, spyware tracks your activities that you are performing on the system. Ransomware locks your files until you pay them. Adware opens irritating pop-ups on your device until it gets completely uh, unaccessible. Now, these cyber attacks are performed against individuals, against property, and against government. Against individuals, they perform it as a form of identity theft and cyberbullying. And against property, they they perform it by hacking, phishing, and spreading malware. Now, by against government, they perform cyber terrorism and espionage. In India, we have IT Act 2000, which governs cyber crimes in India. Now, why to report these cyber crimes? To protect others, legal support and evidence, prevent future attacks. But where to report it? We can report it on cybercrime.gov.in. After that, in module 2, we covered about social networking. Social networking are the platforms. Social networking basically are the platforms that allow users to create, share, and interact online. Common platforms that we know exist in today's world are Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, WhatsApp, YouTube, Discord, Reddit. So these are some common platforms that exist in today's world. Then after that, we learned about what are social media risks, like privacy invasion, cyberbullying, reputation damage, phishing and scams, and what is the cause of addiction and mental health. So we learned about that in module 2. After that, we learned about safe online behavior. How can we be safe on online? So we learned about we must think before we share, avoid posting personal information like school names, address, and phone numbers. We can also use privacy settings and monitor them after a period of time, that if there are some changes, then we can implement it on our profiles. We can also follow trust rule. Can anyone tell me what is a trust rule? Yes, Gauri.
Uh, in trust rule, T stands for think before opening, R stands for respect others online, U
Yes.
stands for use strong passwords, S for secure your devices, and T for talk to adults if unsure.
Yes. Vidhi will share the assignments and we'll talk about it at the end of the session. Don't worry, I'll answer your question, but we'll take it at the end of the session. So, after learning about safe online behavior, we also learned about what is our digital footprint. So, basically, what we post online and what we present online is our digital footprint. We get to know about what are the things that can attribute as a negative footprint, and what can be constitutes as a positive footprint. So can anyone tell me what is the difference between a positive footprint and a negative digital footprint? Okay, so negative digital footprint is basically posting something controversial, and cyberbullying or the content that promotes cyberbullying is basically constitutes to your negative digital footprint. But in digital footprint, we can post our projects, our volunteering experiences, and our achievements. So these are the things that constitutes to our digital positive footprint. After that, we learned about instant messaging dangers. Like we have a lot of instant messaging apps available to us, like WhatsApp, Snapchat, and many other applications. So there are several dangers in using those applications. Someone might fake someone might fake themselves as somebody else and try to extract some money or extract some monetary benefits from you. So screenshots can be misused. Forwarded rumors can be shared and get into a boom. So these are the potential dangers of instant messaging applications. Now, we also get to learn about how to stay safe. We can stay safe by using strong password and don't reuse them across applications. Use two-factor authentication. Update privacy settings regularly. Log out from shared devices and report abuse on platforms and to parent teachers or the police. After that, in module 3, we learned about safe browsing. Can anyone tell me what is safe browsing? Yes, Vriddhi.
The internet is full of valuable information, but all websites are not safe, so we should be safe online. We can safe online by using antivirus.
Yes, exactly. So internet is full of valuable information, but all not all websites are safe. So safe browsing is basically the habits or the technology that is used or that helps in prevention of cyber attacks, scams, or frauds. That is known as safe browsing. Safe browsing is also is equals to smart browsing. We also learned about how to identify secure websites by looking at the S and the padlock symbol that is shown in the address bar of the browser, which tells us that it is a secure and encrypted transmission between the device and the website. We also get to learn about what are the signs that a website might be unsafe. So there can be a lot of pop-ups that are shown on your screen asking for a personal information. Too many ads or flashy download buttons. No contact info or about us page. Poor grammar, design errors, or low quality image. These are the signs that can tell that the website is unsafe. Now, after that, we also learned about what is browser cache or how to clear it. Can anyone tell me what is cache? Yes, Priyank.
Cache are the file downloaded via computers and the photos which are saved via so that it makes accessing a website easier. So that when we open it for the second time or when we are using the website multiple times, it makes the loading of the website easier.
Exactly. So cache are the temporary files that helps website load faster. After clearing the cache, the system might improve its speed and it will perform better. Fixes loading errors and protects your data on shared devices. After that, we also learned about safe browsing practices. We must log out from website after use. We must use updated browsers and don't save our password or public shared computers. Avoid suspicious free downloads. After that, we also learned about social media browsing tips. Social media browsing tips are like use official apps and websites. Be cautious while clicking on stories, reels, or links in bios. Don't click on you one prize, ads, or surveys. Turn off autoplay videos to save data and avoid exposure to harmful content. We must not use public Wi-Fi without a VPN. Can anyone tell me why we must not use a public Wi-Fi without a VPN? Yes, Priyank?
We must not use a public Wi-Fi without a VPN because a VPN prevents our exact locations and whereabouts from leaking. It also prevents our information which can be susceptible for harms to
Yes.
to not leak. It prevents basic leaks.
Yes. What VPN does, it encrypts all your data that is going out of your system before leaving the device, so that if someone is uh, if someone is monitoring the network, they will not be able to read what is the data that you are sharing with the website or that is going through your device. So that is why we must use a public network with a VPN. Don't enter sensitive data on unknown sites. Keep browser extension minimal. Turn off pop-ups and redirections. Use antivirus and firewall protection. So these are some points that we must keep in mind for safe browsing. After that, we learned about email security. Email is one of the most common communication tools and one of the most targeted by cyber criminals. Most cyber attacks begin with a malicious email. Understanding threats and adopting safe practices help prevent identity theft, data loss, and financial frauds. Now, common email threats. Can anyone tell me what are the common email threats that we discussed in our last session? Yes, Vriddhi?
Spam emails, phishing emails, and malware attachments.
Exactly. Spam emails, phishing emails, and malware attachments. So, spam emails are the unwanted or unsolicited messages often promoting products or scams. Can clog inboxes and sometimes carry malware links. Phishing emails designed to trick users into sharing personal information. Malware attachment, virus or ransomware may be disguised as an attachment. Example, invoice.pdf.exe. After that, we also learned about what are the signs email that a email that we receive is a phishing email. Can anyone share some of the points? Yes, Gauri.
The email will have a generic greeting and an urgent tone. It might contain suspicious links, grammatical errors, and even unexpected attachments.
Exactly. These are some points that we must keep in check before interacting with the email. Now, how can we secure our inbox? We can secure our inbox by using strong and unique passwords. Enable two factor authentication, filter and label emails with built in spam filters. Update email app browser regularly to stay protected from known vulnerabilities. Use a reputable antivirus program. There are also some safe email practices that we discussed, like never click on suspicious or shortened links, do not download unexpected attachments even from known contacts, verify the sender's email address carefully, report phishing emails to your email provider so that their inbuilt spam filters can identify the emails as spam. After that, we also discussed about why we must avoid public Wi-Fi while accessing our email account. So this was the revision of our previous sessions. So today, before we start, let's first understand a term which is string. Can anyone tell me what are strings in computer? Okay, so string in computers is known as a data type that represent a sequence of characters such as letters, numbers, symbols, and spaces. So, for example, you can see on the screen that it is written IT internship, right? So IT is a string and internship is also a string. So computer understands these characters that we can read as a string, and we'll be using this term string very commonly in upcoming sessions. So every character, let's say P is a character, but if we create a sequence of these characters like PROGRAM, this is a string. So strings are basically a sequence of characters such as letters. Here we have letters or numbers like 126-127 is a string. Symbols like we have a hyphen in the string and spaces. So that sequence is considered as a string. So our today's topic is passwords. What are passwords? Can anyone tell me what are passwords? Yes, Gauri.
Passwords are authentication tools that can be used to protect our data.
Yes, passwords are also strings that are used to identify the user and which provides a layer of security for the user's content or user data. Now, does anyone know how authentication system really works? Like we enter the username and the password on the website, and when we click enter or we click login, it takes us to our account. Can anyone tell me how does that system works on the back end, or what is going on behind the scenes? Okay, so what happens is when we create an account, our data is stored in their database. So whenever we log in and we enter the username and password, it sends those credentials to the database and check if those exist in the database or not. But we are typing our password and we are sending that password to the database. That means the database administrator or the person who is managing the database can read our password. Do you agree with me? Or does anyone ever thought about this? Like we are creating the password and we are storing it online, or the companies are storing it in their databases, right? So what happens is when we create an account and we send or create a password, they encrypt it because there are several policies that are made by NIST, which is an organization, or it stands for uh, National Institute of Sciences and Technology, which creates the guidelines for password storing policies. So these policies are followed so that our passwords that we create are not stored in a plain text. Plain text meaning like how can we understand what is presented on the screen. So before they save it, they encrypt it. Now, what is encryption? Does anyone know what is encryption? Yes, Gauri.
Encryption basically means representing any data or any information in codes which can be understood only by a certain key, and when we use that key to decode the data, it is known as decryption.
Yes. Encryption is basically converting a readable data or plain text into unreadable scrambled format by using several mathematical functions and keys, or you can say algorithms. So basically, what happens is when we enter the password or create a password, that password is sent as an input to another program, which creates the scrambled pattern of your password so that it cannot be understood by any other human being, and they cannot access your account. So that is the process of encryption. Now let's come back to our example like we took when we enter the username and password and it authenticates. So whenever we enter that same password, that process remains the same. The password goes through those same programs that is used while you are creating your account, and then it will match that those two same strings that we used, like the one we used while creating our account and the one which we are entering for the login. So it will compare those two, and then it will identify that yes, this is the same user. So that is how these systems work. Now, how do we create a strong password and why does passwords do matter? Passwords are the first line of defense in digital security. As we discussed now, like we enter the username and the password and we get access to our account. So it is the first line of defense in our digital security. The computer does not know who is entering the password, right? So that is why it is said to be the first line of defense, and it is advised to enable multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication. Weak or reused passwords make accounts vulnerable to attack. Password-related breaches are one of the most common entry points for cyber criminals. Now, what happens is you created a very weak password, and let's say you created a password like 123456789, and you set that as a password. What happens is someone tries the same with your account and got access to it. So that is a weak password, and your account's information is leaked. That is why we recommend to create strong password. Now, what are the passwords do's and don'ts? The password's length must be at least 12 characters. We must not use personal information such as name, birth date, and pet's name. We must avoid using common passwords like I told you, like 123456788 is a very weak password and it is very common. Anyone can try that. So we must avoid using such passwords. Mix uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols while creating a password. Change passwords regularly. It is advised to change your passwords regularly after a certain period of time, let's say for 90 days or 3 months, because in that period of time you can create new passwords, or if your account is, or if your details got leaked and your account might not be accessed by somebody, they will not be able to access it even with the credentials that are leaked on the internet. Don't reuse the same password across platforms. We must not use same password across platforms, because if we use same passwords across different platforms, what happens if some platforms database got breached and our details are leaked or our credentials are leaked online, our other accounts might also get hacked, or the information that is present online make our other accounts susceptible to get hacked or access to our accounts that are very mutually exclusive from other accounts. We use a unique password for every account. We must use a unique password for every account. As we discussed now, using unique password for every account will create a sense of security for your accounts. Enable two-factor authentication. Avoid writing passwords on paper or saving in unsecured notes. We must enable two-factor authentication, as it will send a notification whenever someone else is trying to access your account. And avoid writing passwords on paper or saving in unsecured notes. Why do we say that avoid writing passwords on paper or saving in unsecured notes? We might not know, like someone might get access to the piece of paper where we have written the password for our account and they might try it. So it's better to be safe than sorry. That's why we say avoid writing passwords on paper or saving in unsecured notes. Now, how to make strong password and make them easy to remember? Because if we create, let's, as we discussed, like if we create a unique password for every account, it is very easy for us that we might forgot what we kept as a password, and it is very easy to set same password for different accounts or on different platforms, and but we still remember it. So today we'll discuss how to make strong password and easy to remember. We can use a we can use a passphrase. For example, create a sentence only you know and you can easily remember it. For example, here is a phrase where it says my dog eats pizza at 9. And as you can see, it has all the requirements for a strong password. Like it has the uppercase letter, lowercase letter, a number, and a special character, which makes it a strong password. And it is a sentence that you can remember and you can easily use it. So that is why we can use a passphrase as a sentence or a small phrase. We can also use acronym method. We can create an acronym for a sentence like only we know, or it is very common to us. So we can create an acronym. For example, I love going to Goa every year in December. So acronym for this will be ILGTGEYID and exclamation mark. This also follows the strong password policy as it has uppercase letter, lowercase letter, and special character. We can also create deliberate misspelling that will also be act as a strong password. Replace letter with numbers and symbols. Example, C at the rate T L. Then again we have an E here and we have an hashtag here, which makes it a strong password. Use a memory cue from your life not easily guessed. So these are the ways we can create strong password and we can remember them. Why every password should be different? Every password should be different because one reused password is equals to all accounts at risk. Cyber attackers often use credential stuffing, trying known credentials on many sites. Use different password for email, banking, social media, and school portals. Now, what hacker does is they have they have got your data from a data breach, and they have your email and a password. Now, what they'll do is they will go on every website and try those same credentials and try to access your accounts. That is why it is recommended to use unique password for different platforms. And as we can see, we have also mentioned that we must use different passwords for each of these categories like emails, banking, social media, and school portals. We must use a different password for email that must not be the same as banking, and that must not be same as social media and school portals. So we must use different passwords and unique passwords for our different accounts, because if we use, for example, let's say I am a user and I tend to forget passwords, so I created a single password, and that is I'm using for each of these things like email, banking, social media, and school portals. I use that same password for each of these accounts. Now what happens, one day my social media platform's database got breached and my credentials are leaked online. Now the hacker got access to those credentials, and now he is able to access my email, banking, social media, and school portal accounts by those credentials. So that is why we recommend that we must use different passwords. If I have different passwords for email, banking, social media, and school portals, then the hacker must only have the access for the social media accounts, which are separate from email and banking and school portal accounts. So you must use different passwords and unique different passwords for each of these accounts. Simplify your life with password managers. We must, if let's say, for example, I took my example, if I tend to forget things and tend to forget passwords, I must use a password manager that will help me remember my password and store my password securely. We have some examples over here like Bitwarden, LastPass, OnePassword, KeePass. These are some password managers that will keep your password safe and secure. Yes, Priyank.
Sir, it is fine to use such password managers, but what if there's a data breach in the password manager's database? We are still susceptible to leaks, aren't we?
Yes, Priyank. Let me answer that question. So what happens is these password managers store password by encrypting them. And if we go deeper, how do they encrypt it? They encrypt it by adding some, let's say, a function or a program, for simplifying purposes. A program takes two inputs. First, your password, and second is some random characters. Now, what it will do is when that program processes your input, like your password and those random characters, what it will do, it will put those characters in between your password and then encrypt it, so that even if the database got breached, the hacker might not be able to access your credentials. That will add an extra layer of security to your password. Like if, let's say, that is the rarest possibility, but if they got access and decrypt it, then they will not be getting this accurate, they will not be getting the plain text or the accurate password that was used by you to access your account. So that is how password managers secure their databases and secure your passwords. Even if the database got breached, your credentials are still safe. Are we clear, Pram?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we can generate and strong passwords and store strong passwords securely. We can These password managers also provide us a functionality that we can generate a strong password. You might have seen that whenever we are creating an account, Chrome might have suggested us to create passwords, or already created a password, and it is showing us that you can use this as a password. So these are the things that password managers can do. We can also sync across our devices. These password managers have different, like we have an web application, we can have a mobile application where we can sync our devices properly. Let's say I created an account using my laptop and I saved my password on that password manager, and now I want to log in that same account on my device. So by using that same password manager's application, I can sync my sync my device with my laptop, so that the password that I used for creating an account on my laptop can be used to log in from my phone. Only remember one master password. So we can also like create a master password and then create iterations of it. Iterations means different patterns. We can create a one master password and we can create different iterations of it, so that we must not forget what we kept as a password. Now, create your own strong password. You can take 2 minutes, use a passphrase or a acronym, and then create your own password and then send them in the chat. For activity purposes, don't share your real passwords. Let's take an example of create a password for Robin. Okay, Robin is a student in 12th standard, and he wants to generate a strong password. So help him generate a strong password and put your suggestion in the chat box. Yes, Gauri. That is an exact example of how we can create a strong password. We can also create this one. We can also create these kind of passwords, and these are strong passwords. Like I intentionally added a 0 and a 1 here, one here in between, that it makes it a strong password. Now, why do we say to create a strong password? Does anyone know why do we say that one must create a strong password or add these special characters? Yes, Priyank.
So that we are not susceptible to malwares and cybersecurity threats, and it is like not easy for anybody to guess.
Yes, not easily guessable, and we can be safe from. Yes, our data remains safe, and we can be safe online. So, how do, even if our like database got breached and the hackers got access to the password. So what happens is when the database got breached or gets breached or that credentials are leaked, what happens is they are leaked in text file. So there are millions and millions of passwords in that text file. What they'll do is they will cross check it with every plain text that is present and the program that the company used or uses to store the password or encrypting the password before storing. So what they'll do is they will create a dictionary of all the possible words, and they will run a check through that dictionary with the passwords or the breach or the file that they have received after a breach which contains all the passwords, and match those dictionary words and those passwords so that they get the password as a plain text and they can access those accounts. So this is the main reason why we suggest to create a strong password, because special characters and the sequence of lowercase and uppercase and a number will take a computer a millions of years to even crack that encrypted string into a plain text file. So that is why it is suggested to create a strong password. Now let's move on to our today's quiz. Which of the following is the strongest password? Can anyone tell me which of the following is the strongest password? Yes, the answer is correct. Fourth one is the strongest password, as it is longer and it also contains the special characters that we must use and a number. You should use the same password for multiple accounts to make it easier to remember. Is it true or false? Yes, Gauri.
False.
Yes, we must not use the same password for our multiple accounts, even though it makes it easier for us to remember, but it will also makes our account susceptible for hacks. What is recommended way to store your password securely? Yes, Priyank.
In a trusted password manager.
Yes, exactly. We must use a trusted password manager to store our password securely. Now, let's move on to our next question. What is the minimum recommended length for a strong password? Yes, Gauri.
12 characters.
Yes, exactly. We must use or we must create a password which has at least 12 characters in length. What four types of characters should be mixed to create a strong password? Yes, Priyank.
Numbers, alphabets, special characters, and,
Yes, exactly. We must
and
use uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. to create a strong password. Why is it dangerous to use the same password across multiple platforms? Yes, Priyank?
It if the data of one platform gets leaked, and the hacker tries using the same password at multiple websites, then we
Mm. Priyank, your audio is well. Anyways, he was right
are easily
that
susceptible for some multiple points while using a sing
yes. So we must not reuse same password on multiple platforms because if our credentials got leaked, our other accounts might get also be hacked. Now, what is credential stuffing? Yes, Gauri.
Credential stuffing means trying known credentials on many sites.
Yes, credential stuffing is trying the known passwords on other sites, which might get access to the hacker. So that is known as credential stuffing. What are three types of personal information that should be avoided when creating passwords? Yes, Priyank.
names, birthdays, and the name. Yeah, that's all I guess.
Yes, names,
Names and
birthdays, and
birthdays.
pet names. So these are the things that we must avoid while creating a password. How does acronym method help in creating a secure yet memorable password? Yes, Gauri.
Acronyms are not easy to guess, and especially if it is like if we use an acronym for a sentence or a long phrase, then it becomes difficult to
Remember?
even learn it because it does not even form a word or something. Meaningless. It is meaningless.
Yes, exactly. Acronym method will help us create a memorable and secure password as the acronym is created by us and we will know the full form of that acronym and which is easier for us to remember. Now, apart from a strong password, what additional security feature is recommended to be enabled on the accounts? Yes, Priyank.
Two-factor authentication, also known as multiple-factor authentications, are recommended to use so that we can prevent data leaks
Yes, we
and
must
easy logging
enable.
in.
Yes, we must enable two-factor authentication, which is an additional security feature that will help us or provide an additional layer of security to our accounts. What are the benefits of using a strong password, using a password manager like Bitwarden or LastPass? What are the benefits of using a password manager? Okay, so benefits of using a password manager are we can secure and store our passwords safely. We can also sync our devices so that we can access our password and log into our accounts using different devices. And we can also generate passwords using password managers. What are two insecure places people often store passwords that should be avoided? Or what are the yes, Priti?
Paper and a notes app.
Yes, exactly. People store their passwords or write it down on in their diary and insecure places that might get leaked or someone might get access to it. How often should you change your passwords? Yes, Priyank.
Every 2 months.
Okay. Yes, Gauri.
Yes.
3 months can also be good enough.
Yes. It depends solely on you that what is the duration that you want to set. I personally choose 90 days or 3 months to change my password so that even if my passwords are leaked, my account is still safe. Now let's move on to some situation based questions. You have a very complex 16 character password for your primary email. To make things easier, you decide to use this same password for a new social media and banking accounts. According to the credential stuffing concept, why is this a major security risk? Yes, Gauri?
If someone would get to know our password, then they can also try it on our social media and bank account.
Exactly. So even if our password is 16 character long, it does not mean that we can use it or for other accounts as well. We must create a unique password for our different our banking accounts and social media accounts. Now moving on to next question. You find it impossible to remember unique 12 character passwords for 20 different sites. Instead of writing them on paper or in a phone notes app, what specific type of tool should you use to generate and store them securely? Yes, Priyank?
We can use password manager to secure and create new passwords, especially when the amounts of places where we have to use passwords is large, like 20 or 25 different platforms where we have to give passwords. It would be really helpful to use a password manager.
Yes, exactly. We must use a password manager to create and store strong passwords. Now, moving on to next question. You want to create a password that is easy to remember. So you choose Rahul at the rate 15 August 1947. Based on the don'ts list, why this password considered weak even though it contains symbols and numbers? So what happens is I want to create a password that I can easily remember. Yes, exactly, Vritti. We used our personal information to create a password which is easily guessable or which can easily be guessed by anyone. So that is why we must not use our personal information to create strong passwords. You need a strong password for a school portal. You decide to use the sentence, I love to play cricket every Sunday morning. How would you apply the acronym method to turn this sentence into a secure password? Yes, Priyank?
We can use the initials for every word of the sentence, and we can change the common initials like I and E by 1 and 3, or the numbers which resemble them. It is a common way of uh,
Creating strong password. Yeah. Yes, exactly. We can either use the initials of the words that, yes,
use of creating an acronym for a long sentence. Yes.
yes. Either we can use the initials and swapping them with the numbers that resemble them by a special character or the numbers. So that is how we can create an acronym for a sentence and use it as a password. You just created a very strong password for a bank account. What additional security layer should you enable to ensure that even if someone guesses your password, they still cannot access your account? Yes, Priyank?
We can add like two-factor authentication, like Vriddhi said, and sometimes there is also option for a Face ID, so we can use our Face ID.
Yes, we can either use Face ID or biometrics, and we must enable two-factor authentication for logging in, because even if someone tries to get access to our password, the two-factor authentication will protect your account. Now, a friend suggesting using password 123 exclamation mark because it meets the requirement for uppercase, lowercase numbers and symbols. According to modules don't section, why you should avoid this? So your friend is suggesting, yes, because it is a very common password and we must not use it, because common passwords are easily guessable and it might get your account hacked, even though it verifies all the conditions that is required for a strong password, but that does not mean we can use it as a password. You want to use security as a part of your password, but want to make it harder for hackers to guess. How can you use deliberate misspelling to transform this word into a stronger format? Yes, Priyank?
Use a dollar sign instead of S, a 3 instead of E, exclamation mark instead of the I, and just use such
Yes,
common
exactly.
encryption techniques.
Yes, we can use a dollar symbol for S and 3 for E and exclamation mark for or 1 for I. We can use these kind of symbols and numbers to include security as a word in our password. Now you are using a public computer at a library and you need to log into your email. If you don't have a password manager handy, where are the two places you should definitely not save or write down your password? So now, yeah, paper and notepad. We must not use paper and notepad to save our password. Even though it is not recommended to create password using a shared device or a publicly accessible computers. So even if we are doing that, we must not write down or save password on that device. You have been using the same strong, unique password for a primary email for over 3 years. According to the do's list, what action should you take regarding the password? Yes, Priyank?
Even though the password is a unique password, we shall change the password to prevent any susceptible losses of data and uh, giving your credentials to some hackers. It's better change the password and make a newer one.
Yes, exactly. Even though it is a strong and unique password, we're using it for 3 years. We must change it because we might not know if our password is available online or is leaked during a breach. You are comparing two passwords 1234567 and well, I'll paste those two passwords in the chat. Based on the criteria of the length, character variety, and lack of common sequences, which one should you use and why? Wait, let me share the password in the chat and then you can tell me which one should I use and why do we choose this. So here are the two password suggestions. Which one should I use and why should I use it? Yes, we must use the second one because it is a strong password. It satisfies the criteria of minimum 12 characters and have all the like uppercase, lowercase, and the special characters along with numbers. So we must use second one. After that, for today's assignment, we have to build a flow chart for a password strength checker showing decision points to determine if a password is secure or not. Here you can submit your assignments here on this form. You just have to upload your assignment and then close the tab. It will save your file and the form will only submit after you have submitted all the 10 assignments from the 10 modules. So that is how you have to complete your assignment. Before we move away, Vriddhi were asking a question. So Vriddhi, you want the questions for the assignment? for previous modules? Okay, so I'll share that in group. Previous 4 assignments, I'll share that in the group. So you want the questions, right? For previous 4 assignments. Okay. So before moving on, let's discuss about what are the key takeaways for today's session. So we discussed about strong passwords is equals to strong security. Never reuse passwords. Use password managers to store passwords. Don't share or write them in insecure places. Change them regularly. So these are the key takeaways. And in today's session, so we discussed about how strong password can protect us and what to use even though a string might satisfy the criteria for strong password, but it is not a strong password. So, so these this is for today's session, and we'll connect you tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining the session. Thank you, Gauri. Have a nice day.